Grace and peace be multiplied unto you. I welcome you to today's lesson. I hope you had an interesting weekend. So, for this week, we will be talking about renewable and non renewable sources of energy, and we will look at a typical example as wind energy. So, let's go into the introduction. So, when you think about energy, energy is simply the ability to do work. But then there is another part of energy that exists in Earth or comes from outer space. Okay, so we have two forms of energy. We have capital energy, the energy existing in the Earth, and then we have celestial energy, the energy which comes from outer space. So we have energy from the Earth and energy from outer space. For instance, energy from the Earth, we can say hydroelectric power is energy from the Earth because water is on the Earth. And celestial energy, we can say the energy from the sun is a celestial energy. So celestial means anything outside the Earth or in space. Classification of energy sources. So based on availability and usage with respect to time, we can classify them based on availability and usage with respect to time. So that is, energy can be classified by looking at its availability and how it is being used. And it can also be classified based on possibility of renewability, how it can be restored back to its original form. So let's look at the first classification based on availability and usage with respect to time. So we have conventional energy sources and non-conventional energy sources. That is based on availability. And based on renewability, we have renewable energy sources and non-renewable energy sources. Let's look at what they mean. So renewable energy sources, these are continuously restored by nature. They are also called inexhaustible sources of energy. So renewable energy sources basically are energy sources which are restored by nature. So they're actually coming from natural resources like water and sun, and they are called inexhaustible sources of energy because they cannot run out. They are constantly available. Let's look at advantages of renewable energy sources. So like the name says, renewable, they can be restored or renewed. So they are non-exhaustible. It means they can't finish, or they can be restored. They can deliver the energy required for a specific task. They can be built on or close to the sites where energy is required. Reduce the cost of operation as energy resources are natural. So these are some of the advantages of renewable energy sources because they actually are natural and they can be built on or close to the site where energy is required. So you don't need to buy them, they are just available. Disadvantages of renewable energy. Now, it is difficult to generate the quantities of electricity that are as large as those produced by traditional fossil fuel generators. So when you compare renewable energy sources to non-renewable ones like fossil fuel, you realize that it is difficult to generate large quantities of electricity, to be specific, from renewable energy sources. For example, when you want to use the sun to generate electricity, you need a solar panel. But when you burn fossil fuels, you can get more energy to produce electricity. Renewable energy often relies on whether it is weather for its source of power. So usually renewable sources of energy depend on the weather. So if you want to use the energy for the sun and then it is raining, you can't use the energy for the sun. Hydro generators need rain to fill dams to supply flowing water. So in order for you to use water as for electricity, you need water to fill the dams. Let's look at non-renewable energy sources. These occur once in nature and on usage. They practically cease to form under new geological conditions. So non-renewable energy sources actually occur once. They come in once. You find them once, and then it's hard to find them around. For example, fossil fuel. When you dig up fossil fuel from the soil, you can't get any more from there again. And then they actually stop, they cease to form under new geological conditions. So when the environmental conditions change, you realize that their formation also stops. Non-renewable energy is more traditional source of energy and is most commonly known as fossil fuels. Non-renewable sources of energy are much cheaper than renewable sources, but are harmful to the environment. So non-renewable sources are traditional source of energy and most commonly known as fossil fuels. So anytime you hear fossil fuels, what comes to mind is non-renewable energy. And then these are much cheaper than renewable ones, but are usually harmful because they have to do with burning. And in the process of burning, smoke and other toxic substances are produced. Let's look at advantages of non-renewable energy sources. Non-renewable energy sources cannot be replenished in a short period because they cannot be replaced. Once it's used, it's gone. They are abundant and affordable, and God in his own wisdom made it abundant. So it's not that they are in limited quantities. Once you find them, they are actually a lot, and then you can use them, and they are also affordable, cost effective, and easier to produce and use. So when you want to use them to produce energy, they are actually easier to use. They are reliable supply and available in highly concentrated form. Let's look at disadvantages of non-renewable energy sources. So once the sources of non-renewable energy are gone, they can't be replaced or revitalized. So that is how come they are called non-renewable. They cannot be replaced. The mining of non-renewable energy and the byproducts they leave behind causes damage to the environment. So once they are being burned, they causes damage to the environment. Like it says, burning of fossil fuels continue to rise, producing high levels of carbon dioxide, which is a major cause of global warming. So this is a comparison of renewable and non-renewable sources. Renewable sources, you can see the sun, you can see plants, you can see water or from rain, volcano, wind energy, and solar. And non-renewable fossil fuels, fossil oils, coals, nuclear power, and natural gases. So let's look at wind power as a renewable energy source. Wind energy is the energy contained in wind blowing across the earth, and winds are caused by uneven heating of atmosphere by the sun, hence an indirect form of solar energy. So here are parts of the wind turbine for wind energy. You can look at them, and into details are some of the parts. So basically, wind energy uses kinetic energy for power. And advantages of wind power plants are energy for free cost, produces electricity throughout the day, pollution free and clean, vast wind energy is available. So this is actually, if you can do this, you can actually have electricity in your house for free using the wind energy power plants. Disadvantages is that low energy density, irregular, unsteady wind energy. So disadvantage mainly boils down to availability of wind. Alright, so this ends our topic on renewable and non-renewable energy sources. Until we meet again, stay safe. Have a nice day. Bye bye.